Hey everyone, welcome back. You've been asking about if real estate is still a good investment in 2025
Oh, yeah.
with all the crazy stuff that's been
Uh-huh.
happening in the economy lately.
Uh-huh.
Now we've got some really interesting research to dig into,
Okay.
including some thoughts from the Margin World podcast,
Okay.
which tackled this very question. And I mean, think about it. We've got post-pandemic shifts going on.
Right.
Interest rates are all over the place.
Yeah.
People are changing how they want to live and where they want to live.
It's like the whole game board got flipped, and
Exactly.
we're all trying to figure out the new
Yeah,
rules.
so the question is real estate still that golden ticket to financial growth and security?
Mm-hmm.
Or has everything changed so much that we need a whole new playbook?
Right.
So let's start with what has always made real estate so appealing.
Yeah.
That feeling of owning something tangible, something
Yeah.
real,
Yeah.
unlike stocks that can just disappear in a market crash.
Yeah. There's just a different feeling you get when you own a physical property. Like, it's something you can see and touch. It's like planting a tree. You can see it grow.
Right.
You take care of it, and you're directly connected to its value.
Yeah, and it's not just a feeling, right?
No.
I mean, at its core, real estate fulfills a very basic human need. We all need a place to live and to work.
Absolutely.
That inherent demand is what has historically made real estate such a stable investment.
Yeah, but, as you mentioned, the pandemic and that rise in remote work has shaken things up a bit.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's jump ahead to 2025. What are the advantages that real estate still offers,
Oh,
even with all of these shifts that we've seen? Margin World made a great point about rental income. Like, it can be a really steady source of cash even when the stock market is going crazy.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. That rental income, it provides a consistent cash flow,
Yeah.
and that can really be an anchor when things are uncertain, even if your other investments are tanking.
Right.
People still need a roof over their heads.
Yeah, they use some great examples like New York, Los Angeles, even London, these global cities. They still have strong rental markets.
Yeah, they do. And you can't forget about the up-and-coming cities like Austin or even Tulum.
Oh, yeah.
Those are attracting a whole new wave of renters, and that creates opportunities.
Yeah, so it's not just the same old places anymore.
Right.
Okay, so we've got cash flow, but what about that sweet appreciation?
Yeah.
Margin World reminded us that if you bought a property back in 2015, even for, say, $250,000, it's probably worth a lot more now, especially in those high-demand areas.
Oh, yeah. That long-term appreciation is a beautiful thing. And while the market may not be as explosive as it was a few years ago,
Right.
there is still a lot of potential out there in those areas that are seeing population growth and economic expansion.
Margin World specifically pointed to Miami and Nashville as possible hot spots for 2025.
Interesting.
They said Miami is attracting all those tech companies and remote workers.
Right.
And Nashville's got that music scene and a growing healthcare industry.
Makes sense.
So there's potential for long-term growth there. But what about leverage? That's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, leverage can be a powerful tool.
Right.
It can really supercharge your returns, but you got to use it carefully
Yeah.
because it can also amplify your losses if you're not careful.
Okay. So Margin World used this really clear example. Imagine you put down $100,000 on a $500,000 property.
Okay.
So you are controlling an asset 5 times larger than your initial investment.
Yeah, that's the power of leverage. But like they said, interest rates are going to be a big factor in 2025.
Are you
Higher interest rates mean your monthly payments will be higher.
right?
You have to make absolutely sure that your rental income is enough to cover all the costs.
Yeah. And they didn't sugarcoat the risks either.
No.
They actually walked through a scenario where an unexpected interest rate hike turned a seemingly great investment into a financial nightmare.
Oof, that's scary.
It is. Yeah, it's a good reminder that leverage is a powerful tool, but it's not for the faint of heart.
You got to be smart about it.
Yeah. And, on top of all that, let's not forget about the tax benefits.
Oh, yeah, those are sweet.
There's a whole world of potential deductions for real estate investors. Things like mortgage interest,
Yeah,
property taxes, depreciation.
it all adds up.
It does. Okay, but before we get carried away with all these amazing advantages, we have to talk about the risks.
For sure.
Because 2025 has thrown some curveballs at the real estate market.
Definitely. And I think one of the biggest ones is affordability.
Yeah.
Those rising interest rates are making it so much more expensive to buy and invest in property.
Yeah. Especially for first-time buyers trying to get into those hot markets.
Oh, absolutely.
Margin World stressed how important it is to really crunch the numbers.
Yeah.
They even offered a simplified cash flow analysis template to help people assess whether they can actually afford a potential investment.
That's a really valuable tool.
It is. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of owning a property and just overlook those financial details.
Oh,
But in today's market, understanding your cash flow is more important than ever.
totally. They also talked about vacancy rates. Remember that example they used about San Francisco?
I do, yeah. With more and more people working remotely, some cities that were once like magnets for renters are now seeing an increase in vacancy rates.
Yeah. It's a whole new dynamic in the rental market.
It is. But on the flip side, Margin World pointed out that suburbs and smaller cities like Boise or Asheville
Yeah.
are actually experiencing this surge in demand.
It's like there's this migration happening.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
fascinating, right?
It is, yeah. It's like the pandemic just shuffled the deck,
Yeah.
and we're seeing these new patterns emerge.
So it's not all doom and gloom.
Hmm.
There's still pockets of opportunity out there. But you have to be savvy and understand these new trends.
Exactly. Adapt your strategy to the evolving landscape.
Yeah.
The cookie-cutter approach doesn't work anymore.
And then there's a whole issue of liquidity. Margin World was very upfront about this. Real estate isn't like stocks. You can't just cash out overnight if you need to.
It's a much less liquid asset class.
It is. They use the analogy of a ship. It takes time to turn a big ship around.
Yeah.
Real estate is kind of similar. It requires patience and a long-term perspective.
You got to be ready to ride out those waves.
Okay, so we've got this fascinating mix of advantages and risks.
Mm-hmm.
So what does this all mean for someone who's thinking about real estate in 2025?
Well, I think Margin World gave us some really good food for thought.
They did. They really hammered home the importance of doing your research.
Absolutely. Location, property type, market trends.
Yeah.
You have to consider it all.
Yeah, and it's not just about the micro-level details either.
No, you have to understand the bigger picture.
Right.
Population growth, regulatory changes, shifts in the economy.
It's like a giant puzzle with all these interconnected pieces.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's definitely not as simple as it used to be. Real estate in 2025 requires a more strategic and informed approach.
Definitely. The days of just jumping in blindly are over.
They are. But there are still opportunities out there for those who are willing to do their homework.
Oh, absolutely. It just takes more due diligence, a
Yeah.
deeper understanding of the market, and a willingness to adapt.
I love that. Real estate 2.0.
Real estate 2.0.
So we've laid the groundwork,
Mhm.
explored the advantages, acknowledged the risks.
Yeah.
Now let's dive deeper into some specific strategies for navigating this new era of real estate investing.
Let's do it. All right. So if you're thinking about real estate in 2025,
Yeah.
aligning your investment choices with your personal goals
Okay.
and understanding the current market is key.
Got it. It's like, choosing the right hiking trail.
Yeah.
You wouldn't
yeah.
just set off without knowing where you're going and what kind of terrain to expect.
Exactly. Now let's talk about location.
Oh, yeah, the classic mantra.
It still rings true,
Okay.
but what defines a good location has gotten a lot more nuanced.
So it's not just about being in the trendiest neighborhood anymore.
Not necessarily. You have to look deeper.
Yep.
Population growth is a big one. Are people moving into the area? Why? Is it because of job opportunities, lifestyle, or something else entirely?
Yeah.
And then you've got economic indicators.
Right.
Is the local economy diverse, or is it relying on just one industry?
Oh, that's a good point.
And then don't forget about infrastructure.
Mhm.
Things like transportation, new schools, hospitals.
Yeah.
All of that can impact property values down the line.
So it sounds like we need to be like real estate detectives.
Yeah, think of yourself as Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
Dig into local government websites, community forums,
Mm-hmm.
talk to the people who live in the area,
Yeah.
get a feel for the community and what's driving its growth. You want the story behind the numbers.
So location is like the foundation of our real estate house.
It is.
Okay, but what about the type of property? Does that matter as much in 2025?
Oh, it's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Single-family homes, multifamily units, commercial properties, vacation rentals.
Yeah.
Each one has its own dynamics, its own potential returns, and what works in one market might totally flop in another.
So how do we pick the right type of property?
You have to start by thinking about your risk tolerance and your investment goals.
Okay.
Do you want steady rental income,
Mm-hmm.
long-term appreciation? Do you want to be a hands-on landlord? Or are you looking for something more passive?
Yeah.
Answering those questions is going to help you narrow down your options.
Okay. That makes sense. So let's say I want that steady rental income.
Okay.
What kind of property might be a good fit in 2025?
Multifamily units are usually a solid bet for rental income.
Okay.
Apartment buildings, duplexes.
Hmm.
The key is finding properties in areas with high rental demand and a history of low vacancy rates.
So what about someone who's more interested in that long-term appreciation play?
Single-family homes in those growing suburban areas can be a good bet for appreciation.
Okay.
As more people look for space and affordability,
Right.
those areas tend to see those steady increases in value over time.
But we can't forget about what Margin World said about the impact of remote work on rental demand.
Oh, no, that's a big one. Right.
Remote work has really shaken up the rental market.
It has. Some cities like San Francisco are seeing a drop in demand,
Yeah.
while others like Boise are booming.
It's all about carefully analyzing that rental demand in 2025.
Right. We can't assume that things are just going to stay the same.
No, look at historical vacancy rates.
Okay.
Talk to local property managers.
Mm-hmm.
Research population trends, understand the types of jobs in the area.
Okay.
Are they remote friendly? Or are they tied to a physical location? All of those factors can help you predict what the future of that rental market might look like.
It sounds like we need to look beyond just the purchase price and understand the full cost of ownership.
Oh, absolutely. Margin World was very clear about that.
Yeah,
Don't just fall in love with the house, fall in love with the numbers.
they did say that. And they walked through a scenario where a seemingly affordable property
Right.
actually turned into this financial burden because of all these hidden costs.
You got to factor in those mortgage payments,
Right.
property taxes, insurance, maintenance costs.
Potential vacancy periods, property management fees,
Yeah.
especially if you're not managing it yourself.
It's like buying a car,
Yeah.
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 There's more to it than just that sticker price.
Exactly. And don't forget about the bigger picture.
Hmm?
What's the long-term potential of the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Are there any planned developments that could affect those property values?
Mm-hmm.
Is the area prone to natural disasters or other risks?
So we've covered location, property type, understanding those finances.
Mm-hmm.
What else should we be thinking about?
Well, Margin World also talked about the impact of technology on real estate, which is huge in 2025.
Yeah, technology is changing everything these days.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Think about how tech is already changing how we buy and sell and manage properties.
Yeah.
You've got online platforms, virtual tours, data analytics. Those tools are changing the game.
So we need to be like tech-savvy real estate investors.
It definitely helps. Get familiar with those real estate apps and platforms.
Yeah.
Learn how to analyze data and market trends. Leverage technology to streamline your investments.
So for instance, there are platforms now that are using AI to predict property value appreciation.
Oh, yeah. And they're getting really accurate.
Wow. Okay, so there's Classic location, property type costs, market trends, technology.
It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. It can feel overwhelming.
Don't get overwhelmed. Margin World reminded us to start with our personal goals.
Oh, right. What am I actually trying to achieve with this investment?
Yeah. What's your timeline? What level of risk are you comfortable with?
Right.
Those are your foundational questions.
Okay.
Once you've got those answers, you can filter out all the noise
Yeah.
and focus on the opportunities that match your vision.
So it's not about chasing some generic idea of what a good investment is.
Right.
It's about finding the right fit for me.
Exactly. Real estate investing isn't one size fits all.
Okay.
It's about finding the strategies and the properties that really resonate with your individual circumstances and your goals.
That's really empowering.
It is.
It means we have more control over our investments than we might think.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power. The more you learn about the market, the better decisions you'll make.
So education is key. But what about experience?
Yeah.
Like, do I need to be a seasoned investor to make good decisions in 2025?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
While experience is valuable, there are so many resources out there to guide new investors.
Like what?
Books, online courses, workshops, mentorship programs, you name it.
Okay.
The key is to find resources that match your learning style
Yeah.
and that provide practical, up-to-date information.
And we shouldn't be afraid to ask for help from the pros, right?
Oh, absolutely not. Real estate agents, financial advisors, property managers.
Yeah.
They can offer incredible insights and guidance,
Yeah.
especially if you're new to all of this.
It's like having a real estate dream team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
A good agent can be your local market expert.
Right.
A financial advisor can help you structure those investments wisely. And a property manager can take care of all those day-to-day headaches.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Any other pearls of wisdom from Margin World that we should keep in mind?
One thing that they emphasized that really resonated with me was patience.
Oh, yeah. They said real estate's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. It's a long game.
Yeah.
You know, it's about building that wealth, gradually weathering those market fluctuations, and staying focused on your long-term vision. Think of it like planting a tree.
Yeah.
You're not going to see fruit overnight.
Yeah.
It takes time and care and patience for that tree to grow and to flourish.
I love that. So real estate in 2025 is about being informed, adaptable, and playing the long game.
Exactly. And remember, the Margin World host reminded us that even with all the changes,
Yeah.
that fundamental appeal of owning something tangible with potential for income and appreciation,
Right.
that's still there.
Yeah. So while the game may have changed, the core principles of real estate investing haven't really gone anywhere.
They haven't.
Hmm.
We just need to be a little smarter and more strategic in how we approach things.
Absolutely well said. It's about being informed, adaptable, and patient.
I feel like we've covered so much ground.
We have.
Explored the advantages, the risks, the strategies.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap up, let's go back to that big question.
Okay.
Is real estate still a good investment in 2025?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And I think the answer is like a lot of things in life. It depends.
Or on what?
It depends on your individual goals, your risk tolerance, your understanding of the market, and how well you can adapt to change.
So there's no simple yes or no.
No, real estate in 2025 isn't some guaranteed path to riches,
Okay.
but with careful planning and research, it can still be a really rewarding option.
Yeah, Margin World really hit the nail on the head with that one.
So did they say?
They said don't approach real estate as a get-rich-quick scheme,
Right.
but rather as a strategic path to building long-term wealth.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They also gave some great actionable advice.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
They really urge listeners to understand the specifics of the market they're interested in. Like, what are the vacancy rates? What are the average rental prices?
Yeah.
Are there any developments in the works that could affect property values?
That kind of granular research is so important.
It is.
It's not enough to just rely on those general trends.
Right. You have to get into the details.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say someone is listening to this and thinking, real estate sounds interesting, but I have no idea where to begin.
Okay.
What would you recommend as a first step?
I would say start by defining your goals.
Okay.
What are you hoping to achieve with this investment? Are you looking for passive income, long-term appreciation, or maybe a mix of both?
Yeah.
Once you have that clear vision, you can start researching specific markets and properties that match those objectives.
Okay. And what about reaching out to the experts?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Real estate agents, financial advisors, property managers, they can provide such valuable guidance and help you navigate all the ins and outs of the market.
For like our real estate Sherpas.
Exactly, guiding you through that terrain.
I love that analogy. Okay. So while the real estate landscape is definitely evolving,
It is.
the appeal of owning something tangible, something with the potential for income and long-term appreciation,
Yeah.
that's still there.
It is. It's not about chasing a quick buck. It's about building wealth strategically over time.
Well said. It's about being informed,
Yes.
adaptable,
Yes.
and patient.
And patient. And who knows?
Yep.
Maybe in a few years, we'll be doing another deep dive looking at real estate in 2028.
I'm already excited for that one. Okay, well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, happy investing.